what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk Podcast. I'm joined by Phil Perry, the senator. How are you, guy?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm just here for a minute. We had a little golf junket last week with old saggy balls and the trowel down in Fort Myers. Met a bunch of Next Pats podcast and Patriots Talk Podcast fans, not to mention Quick Slants fans. It's always cool to meet people like, hey, I listen to your stuff. Oh my God, this is great. You guys are the best. Now, they might walk away and say, yeah, I couldn't tell him. He drives me friggin' batshit, but it is still nice that they at least try to make me feel good.
That is nice of them. But you're on vacation. You're already feeling good. And it's just like the cherry on top.
It is. And I'm going back on vacation. I'm going right back to Fort Lauderdale this evening with my bride. We're going to take care of all kinds of spring break festivities while down there. And we will be back by Friday. But it's she works hard. She's a teacher. We got to get her down there, get her back, get some sunshine for both kids, mostly for her, though. But while we're doing that, Phil, it's important to keep people abreast of what the Patriots have looking at them. And what they have looking at them is a lot of decisions with the draft and free agency. Before they can make any of those decisions, they have to do position evaluations, right?
Yeah.
That was me just including you. I want Phil to feel comfortable on this pod. There's going to be a lot of Tom talk, and then I'm going to bring Phil in for his expertise. So in doing this, what I said to Phil is, I'm only here for a little while, and then I got to get back out. But let's do a pod, and we're going to go through each position on the offensive side of the football, give a quick and dirty description of what the Patriots are facing, contract-wise and personnel-wise, and we'll talk about a general importance level for that position. Let's start at quarterback. Mac Jones entering the third year of a 4-year rookie deal, Phil. Cap hits are very manageable, 4.25, 4.95 the next 2 years. As you and I know, the organization thinks that this is absolutely, this 4-year window, the sweet spot for Mac Jones and the team to be built around him, correct?
Competitive advantage. If you have a guy that can play, and Mac Jones showed that he could play as a rookie, it is a competitive advantage. Now we can talk about, to what level Mac Jones can play. Bill Belichick will tell us he can play in this league. Which isn't saying a whole heck of a lot.
No, a lot of guys
I would say he could do a little bit more than that. But it is because of the cost of a veteran player at that position. And all you're saving by having someone who can bring a veteran level of performance to that position, you should be going for it right now. And that obviously adds to the frustration of what happened last season.
Yes. Organization-wide, I think Phil and I can both tell you that. It's you're frustrated. The tone of the season ticket letter, or the letter to season ticket holders that Robert Kraft sent home, I think you can tell that the organization is disappointed at the direction of last year, and I think Mac Jones' regression would be a part of that. This is important, though. Phil mentioned the cost. I mentioned the cost. We are all going to mention the cost. If the Patriots pick up the 5th-year option on Mac Jones, his salaries are going to go from 4.25 this year to 4.95 in 2024. It will then go to $30 million about fully guaranteed. That's just on the 5th-year option in 2025. So you're going to see $25 million of cap space evaporate. If they want to not pick up that 5th-year option and decide to, okay, let's play it out and see if he's a good player or not, and they decide, as maybe the New York Giants are deciding right now, or as the Lamar Jackson Jackson, they might have picked up his 5th-year option. Either way, as the franchise tag for a quarterback in 2025 is going to be $45 million. $45 million. So by 2025, the Patriots either have to get him on a new deal or say ta-ta.
Yeah, and the risk, Tom, of waiting and letting it play out and getting through year 3 and saying, depending on how it goes, right? It's pretty good, but let's see one more year before we decide we're going to commit, even the $25 million 5th-year option or whatever would be beyond that.
30.
If Mac Jones gets to gets through his rookie contract.
But they're gonna decide by next May, Phil. We're 14 months out from them having to say we're picking it up or not.
Correct. But if you don't, and he actually is pretty good, you're a year away from him just saying, you know what? This was a weird time here in New England. And I am 12 months from free agency. And yep, like the guys here, like the coaches, seems to be going in the right direction, but I'm not taking any kind of hometown discount to stay here. So if there's a better option for me out there, you guys didn't want to commit to me after year 3. I get it. I didn't have a huge backlog of success, but I showed you that I could play in year 1. I showed you that I could play in year 3, and I'm about to go out and have a great year 4. And sorry, not sorry, but I got to go do what's best for me. That's the risk as the team. You let the player sniff free agency, he might actually go. And good quarterbacks, certainly great quarterbacks, basically never get to free agency. Even good quarterbacks, Tom, almost never get to free agency. It's why you get guys like Kirk Cousins with money coming out of their ears just because he became available. And there will be a team out there that feels as though it's an average quarterback away from real contention. And that would be incentive for somebody like Mac Jones. If that 5th-year option isn't picked up, if he doesn't get an extension, to say, yeah, why not try free agency, see what happens.
So they could have a Jared Goff situation if they marry up to somebody who they overestimate, or say we just can't lose this guy, as the Detroit Lions did, and then they had to jettison him. Jared Goff got the Rams. I inverted it. He got the Rams to a Super Bowl, played the Super Bowl, but he was just a cog in the machine, which might be the level of what Mac Jones may be as well. But that $45 million franchise tag and the $35 million 5th-year option, and the realization that come hell or high water, he's probably going to make about $33 million a year on the next deal. Even if they get out easy on it. Even if they get out easy, they're paying $150 million in his contract. That profound difference between the $4.25 million cap hit right now and 30 or 40 is insane. So to me, I look a little further down the roster and I look at Bailey Zappe. He's under contract through 2025. His cap hits are all lower than $1.3 million. In 2025, the Patriots can have a reasonable facsimile of Mac Jones, depending upon how Bailey Zappe forms, at $1.3 million. 1.3 or 45. Mac Jones or Bailey Zappe. Imagine the stuff you can buy with $44 million worth of cap space. I think the Patriots are setting themselves up okay, especially because they kind of seem to have perhaps maybe have hit on Zappe to at least have a safety net financially if things go sideways. Just adding in here too, Brian Hoyer under contract for $1.4 million in 2023.
So that to me is the crux of it. And we'll find out, right? We will find out in year 3 what Mac Jones is. But boy, put all your eggs in that Bailey Zappe basket. Just, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. He was drafted where he was drafted for a reason. He's considered league wide to be a backup quarterback. And so, Tom Brady was at 1.2. And so like we can make those, the league's not always right. And they're not always right. But if you want to build up your team and then and have a pretty good team, because you can spend all that money everywhere else and say goodbye to somebody who might be good. And again, year 3, we'll find out on Mac Jones, but you might say goodbye to somebody who's good to hand the keys to a Brock Purdy type.
No doubt. But that's, I guess what I'm saying is you've at least got, you ever get water in your cellar?
All the time.
Okay. So you know what a sump pump is. You got your A+ sump pump.
Got 2.
Patriots also have another sump pump. It's a knockoff. It works. They don't know how well it works, but they can use it in a pinch. And they'll have that for 2025, the same way they had Cam Newton for 2020. So you have the next 2 years to evaluate Mac Jones. Then either push away from the table or get him to stay. And all the while you're doing that, you have already in-house Bailey Zappe. You might want to find another guy. You might want to keep trolling the wire to see if there's anybody else you could bring in. But I think it'll be fascinating this offseason and next to see how the Patriots behave at the quarterback position, so they can either find out Bailey Zappe's okay and can be a suitable 2025 replacement for Mac Jones, or figure they have to bring somebody else in. But they can't start thinking about writing Mac Jones $40 million a year checks, as I'm sure you would agree, until they see a lot more. Meanwhile, they still got to keep beating the bushes, I think. Agree?
That's why year 3 matters. If Mac Jones in year 3 doesn't give you anything that makes you say, well, he's definitely better than Bailey Zappe, then that's a problem.
I think he's always going to be better than Bailey Zappe, but he's never going to be 40 times the player Bailey Zappe is, which is what 2025 salary would indicate.
Of course, but the problem is there's no quarterback out there who is 5 times the player Bailey Zappe is, who also only makes $5 million. That market doesn't exist. So you're paying nothing or you're paying a lot. Unfortunately for the NFL, that's just how that position works. And
all the while, the media and the fans are saying, hey, when are you going to win a championship, Bill? It's 2025. You just got that Schuler record. Are you sticking around, or what's the story? So that's why 2023, as Phil stated, is absolutely pivotal at the quarterback position. Let's go to the next position here, wide receiver. Give you the overview, because Phil says that's the place to build. Nelson Aguilar's deal's up. He's almost certainly gone. Kendrick Bourne entering the final year at a reasonable rate. He's 4.75. Cap hits 6.8. He's 28, but he had a bizarre 2022. Devontae Parker, his deal is similar to Bourne. He's entering the final year, as Bourne is, at 5.7 with a $6.2 million cap hit. He'll be 30. Tyquan Thornton, second year. You don't have to worry about him. And then there's Jacoby Myers, a free agent. He's only made $6 million so far with the Patriots, 3/5 of what Isaiah Wynn made last year alone. So is that a $10 million player? Because that's kind of the going rate, 12, 13 million for a good wideout. Is he a $10 million player to the Patriots? And do you feel okay with Bourne and Parker and Thornton as your other guys at wideout, Phil?
I think Jacoby Myers is about a $10 million player at that position. That's the contract that Russell Gage got from Tampa Bay, 3 years, $30 million.
Good job.
Veteran guy who is pretty average. And listen, there might be somebody out there who says we would rather have Russell Gage because Russell Gage has some speed. And so his ceiling, we can envision his ceiling being, maybe when the Bucs gave him that contract, maybe say this is the next T.Y. Hilton, like maybe you could talk yourself into that, which you can't do with Jacoby Myers. But I think given his production, guy was on pace to be 1,000-yard receiver with Cam Newton. I mean, like he's played through injury. He does everything the right way. To me, he's about a $10 million player. I would not be okay with Parker, Thornton, and Bourne as my 3 and just go into the season with that. It's not enough Myers, if you want to be.
Well, if there is, what about those 4 with Myers?
I still think you need something more. I don't trust either Kendrick Bourne or Tyquan Thornton to be the kind of game-changing player that I think you need at that position. Devontae Parker is fine in sort of a specific role as a 50-50 contested catch guy. But unless they saw something in Tyquan Thornton that we did not see, or unless they think Kendrick Bourne's going to have a massive turnaround and he's going to become a game-changing player, I think you need a game-changing player at that position. They don't have one.
So draft would be, just from what I've gathered and talking to Phil, and you guys might have seen him on the television as well, draft is obviously a critical place. He's done mock drafts. He had Quentin Johnson from TCU as a guy. Zay Flowers would be there. The kid, what's his name? Jackson Njigba.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
JSN.
I'll be JSN. By the end of April, that'll flow off my tongue. I'm still getting it. And Addison Smith, our friend Chad Graff had Addison Smith in a mock draft today.
Jordan Addison.
Like I said, I'll get this straight by the end of April. So Addison Smith. I think I coached an Addison Smith. The only girl who played, I think, for my Little League team for a while. Job, Addison. Nice job. Sorry, I just had a flashback. Okay, so Jordan Addison Smith, so you can dip into the draft, or you can go get T. Higgins, which is something else Phil's pounded the table for. To me, we talked about priorities, put a number on it. For quarterback, your priority is finding out, but there was no priority to bringing somebody in. This is a priority to Phil. I think of 4 or 5 on a 1 to 5 scale. Bring somebody in.
I'd go 4.
Most people agree with you too. I think they got enough in-house, but I could be wrong. Running back, ladies and gentlemen, Damian Harris's rookie deal is up. He's going to be a free agent. The Patriots seem to have prepped for his departure by drafting Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris in the 4th and 6th rounds last year. Both those players signed for short money through 2015. JJ Taylor, undrafted. He's entering the last year of his deal. I don't know why, in God's name, he hasn't been irrelevant at all. And finally, don't forget about Ty Montgomery, has another year on his deal. He'll be 30 this year. Of course, there's Ramondre Stevenson, your bell cow. Made $825 this year. 2023 is going to make $940. Quite obviously, a guy in line for a pay bump through the end of his deal next year. We'll see if the Patriots take care of that in this offseason. Extension for him should be a priority. If you look at the top running back deals in the league right now, through production, Ramondre Stevenson is a $10 million a year player already. Now, the idea of spending $10 million a year on a running back might make Bill Belichick's blood run cold. He could get 2 middling defensive tackles for that kind of money, Phil. So that kind of deal might not be one that's in the offing, but do you give him a straight bump in pay and gobble up a little salary cap as a make good thing? To me, I'm not putting running back as a high priority spot, except I do believe they need a case back. If Tyler Montgomery can do it, we got to get somebody there. And I say we, not as the Patriots, I'm part of it, but we who cover the team and like to see successful plays. Without a pace back, we can't enjoy the team. Yeah,
so
pace back.
I'm glad you mentioned Ty Montgomery because I think people do forget about him. Can they trust a plan that includes only Ty Montgomery and Pierre Strong as their potential pace back, also known as third down back, options?
Yes. I think so.
I think that might be what they end up doing.
I like somebody sudden. So we're going to put that down to a 2, but we do believe that they should take care of Stevenson.
Well, Stevenson, I don't, there's no rush on that one for me. He's still only 2 years in. So yeah. He's got 4 years on the deal. So you talk about that next year with the extension business, but unless he starts, I don't think he even has a leg to stand on. What are the rules on this, Tom? Get Pat's cap on the horn. Can't you not extend a guy until he's 3 years in?
I don't know. Ask Addison Smith.
I can get Addison on the phone. I'm pretty sure you got to wait. There's nothing happening with Ramondre. He can't hold out. They can't do anything. I believe.
He could do a hold in. All right, that's for August. Ladies and gentlemen, the tight end position, eye-poppingly mismanaged by the Patriots. Right now, it's to the tune of Jonnu Smith entering the third year of his 4-year, $50 million. He's got $31.25 in guaranteed money, folks. It's a $10 million salary, $6.405 in prorated bonus, and his cap number is 17.2. All that's Jonnu Smith, $2 million cap hit. If they had moved on from him, they'd have $19 million in dead money if they released him prior to June 1st. They could trade him. Somebody has to be willing to take on his $10 million base. That would reduce the cap charge to 6.4 the next 2 seasons. All that to say, Jonnu Smith probably can't go anywhere because nobody's going to want to take him, and the Patriots have just taken a flamethrower to Bob Kraft's money with him.
First of all, players not eligible for extensions until after their third year.
I know that. Well, you can give him a raise. I could sit out for a raise.
Can they give him a raise?
Don't they get the performance-based crap too? He's probably going to get.
They get performance-based stuff. Yeah, I'm going to do some more research. But yes, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. Here's an interesting question. Number one, I guess 2 interesting questions. Does Bill O'Brien get more out of Jonnu Smith next year, using him the way Bill O'Brien used Aaron Hernandez, who was a different type of talent? They're not exactly the same, but they should be versatile, sort of Swiss Army knife pieces. That's how Jonnu Smith was built.
I mean, Bill O'Brien was the architect of the most prolific tight end offense in the National Football League's 100-year history, 75. However long it's been around, there has never been a more prolific season for players at the tight end position than the 2011 season between Gronkowski and Hernandez. And it was Bill O'Brien architecting the offense. So, yeah, let's reserve judgment and hope again, not hoping because I'm a fan, hoping because I like a good product. Phil, go ahead. You finger raised.
Question number 2. do you spend real resources on adding to this position? If Jonnu Smith is what he is, and there are a couple of there, it's not a bad tight end class in the draft. Would you spend maybe not a first round pick, but would you spend a second round pick on a tight end if the right guy's there? Because those guys aren't going to be here forever. And Jonnu Smith, again, might not be contributing all that much. And you could use somebody beyond just Hunter Henry.
Well, it's a good point because Hunter Henry is entering the final year of his deal. His salary is 9.5, cap hits 15.5. He's 29 years old. He's been productive enough for me to say, yeah, he's been worth it. By the skin of his teeth, he's been a valuable guy. You saw his touchdowns go down from 9 to, I think, 2 this year. But again, everything carries an asterisk or an asterisk, as all of my friends that I traveled to Florida kept calling it. And I kept correcting them. And they would say, shut up. No one cares, you nerd. So with that asterisk, I would say, yeah, you should start stocking that position with another tight end. So let's make it a 3.7.
Okay. I like that. Darnell Washington out of Georgia. Big man, 6'7".
What about the Notre Dame kid?
Yeah. Michael Mayer. He's supposed to be pretty good. A little more polished than Darnell, but Darnell Washington's 6'7". He's like 270 pounds. He's hurdling people down the sidelines. I could see Bill Belichick saying, these guys don't grow on trees. We got to get a Darnell Washington.
He could do for the Patriots what Austin Seferian Jenkins did. Now on to the offensive line. We're going to go left to right here. Trent Brown entering the final year of his deal, $4 million salary. $3 million of that is guaranteed in just about a month, March 16th. His cap hit's going to be 12.25. He has 5.25 tied up in other bonuses, probably related to conditioning. So that's not a bad tally for a left tackle. Cole Strange signed through 2025. Don't have to worry your pretty heads about him. David Andrews still signed through 2024, and he has a $7 million cap hit. Don't have to worry about him. Onwenu, free agent after this year, $3 million base and cap hit are the same. His number is very manageable this year. You can't have to worry about him. And the Patriots did a nice job the other day. I actually mentioned it in my offensive line evaluation when I wrote this stuff. They went out and they made sure that Connor McDermott was going to be back with them for another year. They re-signed Connor McDermott, who between he and Yannick Just did a nice job on the right side. So they do have to get tackle better at the tackle position, but they also do have 5 guys they could walk out there with and say, if these guys play the way they're supposed to, we should be able to not have people knocking Mac on his ass.
I think they'd love to have McDermott be a backup. You know,
yes,
I think you at that position, unfortunately, you got to be really, really good to be, unless you've got a mobile quarterback who just solves everything, you got to be really, really good to protect a pocket guy. So I think they're going to have to either with a first round pick.
I agree.
Or minimum second round pick with a rookie or pay big money in free agency. They got to get that solved, right tackle.
Because it's not just right tackle. It's Brown in the last year of his deal. And it's Onwenu heading towards free agency as a guy who has a Pro Football Focus giant. And every single year, teams are going to look at those ratings. Pro Football Focus does help a lot of teams with their scouting and evaluations. And if you got one of the top right guards in the league about to hit free agency, the Patriots are going to have to look at Brown possibly leaving and Onwenu possibly leaving, plus an aging David Andrews at center going into the final year of his deal. So regardless of if you can walk those 5 guys out there and play football, which I contend you could, you still have to plan for the future and for depth this year. It's a 5. It's a 5 after what I watched this year. I'm not going to watch that again.
And can I just add? I hear you. I'll tip of the cap to your 5.
No asterisk.
No asterisk on that. I would say this. In addition to the need to tackle, they need somebody who can play on the interior, who is a starting caliber player or projects to be a starting caliber player. James Ferentz is great. Like, they've been really, honestly, they've been lucky that they've had James Ferentz, but they need somebody who can play. I would say asking to play all 3 spots like Ted Karras might be a lot, but can you get somebody who can play, if it's a rookie, maybe Tom, a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, who can play both guard spots? Because injuries happen there. And it can just be such a jailbreak if you're missing, one of your starters at that position. So they need, and I believe they are looking for help on the interior.
They need to just coach the hell out of these guys because they've spent a lot of offensive line draft picks in the last few years, and they've hit some on Wenu. I think the Cole Strange will be fine to okay to good. I don't know if he's going to be Pro Bowl level or sniffing around that level, but if he can be as good as David Andrews is at center, that's great. But they do have to develop some of these guys. Just, it's a guy who's been here since 2020 or 2019.
2019. He was the Jarrett Stidham draft class.
Yeah. This is the first time they got anything out of Yod the Bud, which was
N'Keal
nice.
Harry draft class.
Been quite a wait. Phil.
Juwan Williams draft class.
That
was a tough one.
Looks like we're at the end here.
The Jake Bailey draft class.
We got to get to the bottom of that too.
Oh boy.
Find out what's going on with Jake. All right. Combine next week. You going?
No, I won't. Yeah. I will not be there.
Okay. I ain't going.
We're expecting a child soon. So
yeah, absolutely no reason for you to be at St. Elmo's or something when the blessed event occurs. And
yeah, that would be a tough look.
Honestly, folks, if you're wondering why the center of the football world would not have attendance from us at NBC Sports Boston, I'll tell you. Bill Belichick doesn't talk. There's no general manager access. It's basically just getting draft intel, which Phil does a very good job of, and he gets himself up to his eyebrows in it. But we get more bang for our particular buck as a station when we go to the owners' meetings and we get Kraft and Belichick and talk to coaches from around the league in more relaxed settings. Am I wrong, Phil?
I really like the combine. I do still like it.
All right. Well, I'm not trying to ruin it for you going forward, but as they say with budgets, if you do away with something, the next year might be gone for good. So you're paying.
We'll figure that out. It's where the whole league is there, and it's great for draft intel, but it's great for networking. That's the word. Networking.
If DeMaurice Smith has his way, there will be no combine, and then I won't have to explain to you why I can't stand the combine.
Well, then we start going to the Senior Bowl. I would love to be there too. It's hard though. It's usually same week as the Super Bowl, which we also go to.
All right.
Just dominate game content there.
I got to pack and go to Fort Lauderdale. Hey, I look like Steve Lapis.
Bye, Steve.
Bye, guys.